In this episode, I'm going to validate our sign up page or sign up form using JavaScript. So I'm going to start I'm going to make sure my exam control panel is started. So I'm going to start Apache. I'm going to start MySQL. I can minimize this now. Now I'm going to load my page in the web browser. So I'm just going to accept the risks and continue. You need to navigate to where you have your folder, and I think I have mine at MULTIMAN. Okay, so let me use dashboard. Think I need to check where I saved. So when I go to htdocs, okay, tutorials. So save this as tutorials. Okay, now I'm going to start this, and I'm going to navigate to the sign up page. Okay, so I'm at the sign up page now. I also have the same thing open here. I'm going to minimize this. Now I'm going to close the index page and the forgot password page, and I'm going to work on the sign up page. What we are going to do here is I'm going to validate the input fields so that when you click on the submit button and the fields are empty, we get a prompt to submit or to fill the input before you'll be able to submit it. So let's begin with that. To do that, we need to first make sure we install, we add the CDN for jQuery. So I'm going to open another tab here. Then we go to jQuery.com. What you need to do is download jQuery, and let's go for the compressed production. Okay. Now to download this, let's just copy the name here. I can give it any name that I want. I'm going to use this particular name, which is jQuery. Then you add it here. So scripts, you have change this to source, then the folder name will be JS. Then I'm going to paste the name here. So this is the name that I'm going to give to you can just name it anyhow, but it has to have the extension .js. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create this folder inside the JS. I'm going to create this file inside the JS folder. So I'll copy the name again. I'll go to the JS. I'll click on new. Then I'll save this as jQuery.main.js. I'll save it here. Now what I need to go back to my browser, press Ctrl A to select all, then Ctrl C to copy, come back to my jQuery file, and I'll paste this here. All I need to do is just press Ctrl S to save, and I come to my sign up page too, then I can save this. So I can now do away with this. To inspect or to check if our file was added, we can just inspect the page here. Then you go to network. All you have to do is do a reload. Okay, so you can see we have status as 200, which shows that our file was successfully linked. So I can close this now. Then I need to add another folder, and I'm going to add another file called, I'm going to change this to source again. Then I'll create a folder called functions_js. Okay. Then inside that function_js folder, I'm going to have signup.js. So I'll create this folder. I'll click on complete my root folder. I'll right click on my root folder, and I'll go for new folder. Now I will just paste the folder name there. Then I'll also create this file inside the folder. So inside the functions_js, I'm going to right click and go for new file. I'll press Ctrl S to save, Ctrl V to save as signup.js. I can save this. Let's go back to our sign up page. Then I can save this also. So I can also check if this was successfully added or not. So So you can see we have our signup.js also being linked here. Now I'm just going to push this down a bit. Okay. Now let's do something here. Now this is what you are going to do. We are going to validate our form. So to do this, we are going to work in the signup.js file that we created. To do this, let's first do initiate the page. Okay, so I'm using this after I'll explain it. So I'm saying that this file should only load when the document or the full page or the body is fully loaded. Okay, then this script should also load. Now we are going to do something here again. So this dot this, then I'll have this also here. So you can just bring the semicolon or not, it will still work. Now let me explain this. We are going to target our form. We want to target our form, which is this form, this particular form. So the whole form here, from the opening tag of the form to the closing tag. Now you remember we use an ID called the login form. So this is where this login form ID comes in handy. So you're going to copy the login form ID. Then I'm going to bring the hashtag here, then followed by the ID or the name of the ID. Then I'm saying that when we submit the form, so on submit, so we have a whole lot of event listeners. Okay, so you have on load, on submit, on change. Depending on what you are doing, you use the right event listener. So we are now using, or we are going to use, or we are using the submit event listener. So whenever we click on the submit button, when you click on this button, okay, it should trigger an event. So this all what we are saying, and I'm saying, so let's save this and see what happens here. So all what I'll do is I'll just show an alert and a console log. Okay, so button clicked. So this when you use the alert, is going to pop up on the screen once we reload the page, and when we use console log, it's going to log the result in the console. That's why I have my console open down here so that I can also check the result from there. So I'll do the same thing here, button click. Okay, I'll save this. Now I'm going to reload my page here. Then I'll click on the submit button. So you can see when I clicked on the submit button, I'm getting button click. The moment I close this, you should also see this in our console. So I'm not getting this in our console. Console.log button click. I think that triggers before the alert also works. So you can use any of them, either the console, you shouldn't use both of them. So okay, so you can see now our console has been logged here. Then also alert is showing here. Okay, so this tells you that when you look carefully at the page, whenever I click on the sign up button, the page tries to reload. Okay, so when I click, it tries to reload, and we don't want something like that. So to prevent the page from reloading whenever we click on the sign up button, we are going to use the event event to prevent it. So we have something called event dot prevent default. So this is going to prevent the page from reloading. So this prevents the page from reloading whenever we click on the submit button. Now let's reload again. Then click on the submit button. So this time you can see we don't have, so I'm going to alert a message again. Click. Then I'll save, then we do a reload. So I'll reload and I'll click. So this time our page doesn't reload. So this is a good start. Now let's continue from there. So what you're going to do is you're now going to target our input tags. Okay. So the first input tag that we have here is our first name. And remember, we gave it an ID of first name. So what you are going to do is now you're going to create assign variables to them. So assign variables to the input tags. Now you're saying that let's f name. So you can use the same input tag here. So the same ID here. So let first name equal to, then you are using document dot get ID by get element by ID. Okay. Then the ID name is first name. Now we need to get the value of the first name. If you do just this, now if you do get just this, now you need to make sure you assign a value to this variable which has been assigned to this ID. I want to do everything at a go, so dot value. So this is going to pick the value of the first name. Now you can log out. Let's console log the first name. So console log first name. And if everything was done successfully, you should see the first name that I'll enter here. So I'm going to reload. Then what I'll do is I'll enter my name here, MULTIMAN, then I'll press on the sign up button. So you can see now I have MULTIMAN being logged in the console. So this works, right? Okay, so let's do the same thing for the other inputs. So the next one was last name. So let's change this to last name. Make sure you save. I'll save this also. Let's move to user email. Change this. Then I think the next one is phone number. Then we go to the user password. You can also go for the next one, which is confirm pass. Okay, so I think that is all. Now, if you want to log all, you can just do this. So I'm going to reload. Then I'm going to install an extension here called, I think, fake input or so. So settings, extensions and themes. Then fake input. I really don't know the name, so let me just. Yeah, so fake filler. I think this is the name. So this helps us to get input or generate random form names. Okay, so I'm just going to add this. Okay. Now I'll close this. I'll close this also. I'll close this. Then I'll come back to my page here. I'm going to reload. Then under this extension, when you click on it, it's just going to populate some fake form into or fake names into our input boxes. So okay, so now I have this fake input here. When I click on sign up, now you can see I have, is it Kwame, what else? Kwame Sanders. Okay, but this is because you are seeing these two names because that's the only thing I'm logging here. So if you want to log all the names, you just bring a comma, then you follow up with the next variable. So phone number. Well, this is not needed, okay? If you know what you are doing, there's no need to really do a console log, right? If I'm new to this, I think this is better if you log your result to see what you are doing. So I'm going to reload. I'll fill the form again. Then this time I should have all the input populated or being logged in our console. So when I do this, you can see now we have Kwan Wiggins, then we have the email there, we have the phone number and the password. Okay, so with the password, I think we need to change it from test to password. So I made it test. So let's go. You go back to your signup.php. Then you change the type from test to password. So this time it's not going to show as test when we generate and rather a password. Okay. But still, when I console log, it will show the password there. Okay, so this is the password, the actual test. Now I'm going to comment this out because I don't need it. Then I'm going to do a validation here. So validating the inputs. Now I want to make sure whenever I click on the sign up button and the input tag is empty, I get an alert message telling me to fill this form. Okay, so we have different ways in doing this. I can just write one single code which will check and see if none of the input boxes are or the input tags are left empty, or I can just do a single check where I will check them one by one. So I prefer checking them one by one. So let's do the one I'm talking about, and I'll show you another method. So the first one will be, we are doing an if check here. We are saying that if the first name, so I'm just going to copy what I have here. So if the first name, then or last name, or then finally this one. So this basically means if any of the boxes, any of the variables, the input tags are left empty, we should alert a message to the viewer or the user telling him or her to fill everything. So alert message here will be like all fields are required. Now we need to make sure we are returning false so that our form doesn't submit. So I want to return false here. Now let's do a refresh. When I click on the sign up button, we are going to get the alert message here. So I'm not getting this. So let me check. When tapping, sometimes you need to clear your cache. Okay, so let me go to settings, cache, clear, and make sure you clear web content cache. Okay, then reload here. Still not getting anything. So let me check. So alert, return false. Oh, sorry. So if first name is blank, if this is also blank, if this is also blank, or now. Okay, so normally we use now. So if any of the fields are now, then we can show the alert message. Okay, so this time when I refresh and click, it should work. Okay, so now I see we have all fields are required. So I can just fill just one here. So I'll enter Maxwell here, and still I'm going to get that error because we have some input tags left empty. So this will continue to remain until we are done filling all the input boxes. So let me submit, or let me generate a form again. Then this time, let me just do away with the confirm password and see. It will still alert the message. Okay, but I can see that once it does alert the message, still our form is not being reset. Okay, we still maintain our previous text that we have in our input tag. This is a good one. So let's fill something here. So now when I do this, and I click on the sign up, nothing happens because all the input boxes are not empty. So from there, you can now do an else check. Okay, so if all the boxes are not empty, you are going to return all fields are required. If they are all filled, then you can do something else. I can say form submitted. So this is just to check if our else is also working. So I just refresh. I'll generate some input here. I'll click on this, then you see form submitted. So this works. So let's do, so this one way that you can do. So if you want to do a check for all of them, then you can use this. If you want to do it manually for all one by one, you can also use the same method, but this time you need to target them one by one. So you do something like this. If first name is now, then you can alert first name is required, then make sure we return false. Okay, so I can do this for all of them. Then I'll change this to last name. So I can keep up user email. So after user email, we have phone number here. Let's do that for password. User pass and password required. Then we do confirm. Confirm password required. So this time we've targeted each of the input tags to show separate messages. Okay, so I'm just going to refresh. When I click on the sign up, now I'm getting first name required. When I enter this and I click again, so last name required, I'll enter user email is required. Okay, so you can just target them one by one. So you can go for this method that I have commented here, or you can go for this one depending on what you are doing. So I'll go for this one here. Okay, now let's do another validation here. We need to make sure we validate our email and so first name, fine, first and last name, fine. Now we need to validate our email, our phone number, our password, and confirm password. So to do that, let's target the email first. I have some code that I had to reference here. So I'm going to copy this code. So I'll go back to my page here. Then I'll have this here. Then I'll have the email. I'm going to copy the same thing here to go to this. Okay. So I'll change this. I can use var or let, any of them will work. Then what I'll do is, let me go back to the page then. I'll copy this again and see what happens. If not, I can just do another check, a simple check here. It doesn't really matter. So okay, so I'll use this. I'll do an if check here. So if, then I'll do away with this because I don't want to set another variable to what you have there. So I'll put this here. So if this whatever works, then I think we can do .test. .test, then inside the test, we're going to pass our user email there. Pass our user email, then we can now throw an else check also. So we are saying that if the email contains any of these, then the user can sign up, else we should alert a message saying that the email is so it's invalid. So invalid email. Okay, so you can just pause the video, then take your time to write this, or you can just go to my GitHub page, then download this particular file. I'm going to update this file, so I can just download this particular file, then you use it in your development. Okay, so let's try this and see. I'm going to refresh, then I'll fill the form. I'll make sure I delete the email, and I'll just enter AS here. When I try to submit, I should get an error telling me the email is invalid. Okay, so you're saying now I'm getting invalid email because AS is not a valid email. Even if I do at, it will still throw an invalid AS. Okay, until I add a domain name, an email domain provider, okay, or an email service provider, which so Gmail is an email service provider. I can just do at h.com. All we need is the .com, and this time this will work. Okay. So let's continue by validating our phone number too. Let's go back to the signup.php and make sure, where is the phone number? Okay, make sure we set the max length of the phone number to 10 because we want to accept only 10 phone number. Now when we refresh and I go to phone number, so I can enter only 10. This is not over. You still need to do a validation there. So I'm going to say that I'm going to copy this. I'll paste here. And I'll say that if phone number dot length. Okay, so the length, if the length of the phone number is also less than 10. The length is it correct? I think T before HL. Okay, so this, if this is less than 10, then I'm going to throw an error saying that the phone number might be 10. Long. Okay, so if it's less than 10, you want to throw this error, else you should do something else. Yes, so if you want, you won't do any else too, but let's do this. And okay, so I'm going to generate, then even with this I should get an error. Okay, this didn't throw an error, then let me check it too. So this, then I'll do 1 2. So phone number must be 10 digits. So you can see I'm able to enter alpha also. This has a validation which I need to reference. It's too long. I need to reference from a text file that I use. So I'll do that in the next video. We'll fix that in the next video where I get the file, then we validate that particular error too. So I think we can now, so let's validate the password also. So if we want to make sure we assign the user enters more than 8 characters. Okay, so if user pass.length is also less than 8, then let's throw an error here or an alert here saying password must be 8 characters long. Okay, so with this one, it is also going to validate our password. So if I should enter just 1 2 1 2, I should get this error. Okay, now let's try and compare the password and the confirmed password to see. So I'm saying that if, let me come here and copy something here. One more. Okay, so if the user password is not equal to the confirmed password, then you're going to say that password does not match. So if the password is not the same as the confirmed password, then you have to say it doesn't match. Okay, so I'm going to fill this. Now the first password, I'm going to just use 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Then the first one, I'm going to, then the second one, I'm going to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So when you sign up, this should show the error telling you password does not match. And if it matches to, let's try and check if it all works. So password is valid. So if it matches, then so click on sign up. So I was password, so I return false. This okay, so I'm not getting that alert. Doesn't mind. Let's just move on to. So with this, I'm just going to delete this one. So if you're able to do this, then you are good to go. Now you need to do one more thing here, which I'll come back and talk on. I'll talk more on that particular thing that I'll do here in the next video. That's going to be our AJAX call, okay? So we need to make an AJAX call to our PHP server or our PHP page, which is going to process our form. So you need to do what you call an AJAX call here. So you use the jQuery's dollar. So you can do this dot AJAX. I'm going to take some parameters or some objects inside here. So what you have to do is, I normally prefer using the dollar sign. Okay, so you can do this, and it takes our first parameter, which is the type, which is going to be post. So you can do just post like this, or you can do post like this. Okay. Then you bring a comma. We also have the URL, which is going to process, which will lead to our PHP page, a URL to our PHP page. So it is going to be functions underscore PHP. It's a folder, and inside that folder, we're going to have another folder called sign up. Not correct. Sign up .php. Okay, so we're going to create these folders in the next video. So I'll talk more about them. Now we have our comma here. Then we need to bind our data. Okay, we need to make sure we submit or we push this data that we have on the front end to the server side. So I'm going to copy all these. 1, 2, 3. So to do a multi-select, if you're using Sublime Text Editor, just press the control key, press and hold the control key. So you press and hold, then you press and hold, you double click to select the first one, you do that for the next, then you press Control C to copy all. Now I can just paste everything here. I'll make sure I indent this well. I'll do the same thing again. So this makes you work very faster. Okay. So now we are binding the first name to this first name. Okay. So this is our variables. These variables, this particular the first variables is going to be our PHP variables. Okay. Then we are binding it to this particular JavaScript variables that we created. So you can use any the name here can be different, but just that for the variable, for the JavaScript variable has to be the same as what we have up here. So I prefer using the same name for all. Now after this we have another thing. Let's see if I can. Okay, so we can do something like before send. So if our form is processing, we can show a message. So before send, you can have a function here, and that function will come back to the data later. You have a comma. Yeah, make sure you have a comma here too. Then before send, the success, when there's a success message, it has to return a response here. So with success, I think we have a function, and inside that function, we're going to have the data that we are going to receive from the PHP server. Then we pass the data down here. Okay. So I think this will be also, for now, we just have this. Then let's see. Okay, so in the next video, we are going to create, make sure you save the file. The next video, we are going to create our function.php folder. Actually, let's create it here before we leave. So I'm going to copy this, go to my main root folder. I'll go for new folder. I'll paste and create it here. Then I'll create the file here. So that one is going to fall under functions under PHP. So new file. I'll save it as signup.php. Then I think I have it. So in the next video, we are going to make sure we validate our form. Then we are going to create our database, and also we'll create a database connection, and also make sure we sign up the user and input the user information to the database table. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe and you share. Also, I'm going to put the link in the description to my GitHub repo where you can download the file and use it in your development. Thank you, and see you in the next video.